So we're at the VFW in Solana Beach, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we're lucky. This is this post probably has been here since the 1950s. Obviously, post World War II, guys probably were here first, and then then obviously the Vietnam guys, as they were coming out, used it. I don't think the building itself has changed. As you can look at it and see it hasn't changed much since the time that they built it. Yeah. It was originally an office building, so whenever it was built as an office building. Then they converted it.
411, baby.
Yeah, the address. It's post 5431. The downstairs was completely remodeled by another friend of mine that's a SEAL. He was struggling with some PTS post transition, trying to find new purpose. So he found a purpose in service, right? And so he came in here and he leveraged some of his contacts. He completely redid the whole downstairs. He also did the outside of the building as well.
It looks great.
It looks, yeah. It can obviously use some improvements, and that's where I kind of stepped in. I was introduced to him, and he was like, he was kind of getting to the point where he was over it, and he was moving on to an actual career.
Yeah.
So I, being the founder, one of the founders of Next Peak, said, "Wow, like what a great!" They were renting it out to another nonprofit. I was like, "What a great opportunity! We can actually, like, there's so much synergy."
Yeah.
Like we're serving veterans, you're serving veterans, we need to link up. So we ended up getting a space upstairs here. And so we have the whole entire upstairs conference room.
Next Peak has space upstairs at this VFW.
Yeah.
What's your vision for this whole space?
So, we live in Southern California. Obviously we don't have the best weather right this moment, but 90% of the time we do.
Still better than 90% of the country.
Yeah, right. So bring the inside out.
Yeah.
In other words, we have this great venue here inside, but with roll-up doors, with a fire pit, with maybe a built-in barbecue, seating, and now when we have meetings, we can actually have a meeting that is both indoor, outdoor, potentially.
So, really, the intent is to make it a place where people can come together.
Yeah. Overall, and that's just the remodel. Yeah. I'm trying to convert this VFW into a wellness center.
Okay.
For veterans.
Yeah.
Typically, VFWs, American Legions, are canteens or bars.
Yeah.
And I personally don't have an issue with alcohol, but when you're using it to numb yourself and to hide from your healing, then it prolongs that suffering.
Yeah.
So this is different. We want to create this, where yoga and meditation, breath work, therapy with Next Peak.
Yeah.
Like this on the 1st, we're doing a yoga instructors coming in. We're teaching yoga to some veterans, some breath work, some mindfulness. We're going to put a coffee shop in.
That window is perfect.
Perfect. So we'll have a coffee shop there. Now we're serving coffee to the public. Now, as a veteran, if I'm here using the space during the day, because it's why not? It's beautiful, and I can do my work out of here, my schoolwork or whatever.
Yeah.
Is now I'm interacting with the public.
Yeah.
I'm sharing with the public what it is that we do.
Yeah.
We're gaining interest. The ultimate goal, I would say, out of all this is that this becomes the model for a wellness center for veterans post-combat deployments, right?
Yeah.
Post getting out, because the difference between the American Legion and the VFW is the VFWs are veterans of foreign wars. You have to have served overseas in a combat zone to qualify to be here.
Yeah.
And again, the American Legions, a lot of canteens, a lot of bars, I say, let them be that.
Sure.
Why can't we be a place for healing?
Yeah.
And so this becomes that
something
model.
You and I have talked about over and over again, that you can go through any healing modality you want.
Yeah.
Plant medicine, psychedelic treatment, retreat, and those are unbelievably life-changing events.
Yeah.
And then, like you and I have talked about, we crave this community of practice.
Yeah.
That's what I hear over and over and over again is, okay, now what?
All right.
Well,
What's next?
I want to connect in a meaningful way with my brothers and sisters, my community, but I don't know where to go. And I don't want to go drink for a lot of people.
Right.
and I don't want to go to some of the more traditional gathering places.
Yeah.
So really your vision is to create a gathering space where people can have a community of practice.
That's right. And for me, my healing is exponentially increased because of connection. Connection. Like true, intimate connection with another human being where I can express vulnerability, right? I could say to you whatever it is that I need to say, right? And be honest
like we
with
just
you.
did when I showed up.
Right, yeah.
Within 2 minutes.
Within 2 minutes, right? So we're open, honest, and vulnerable with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not happening at the bars. It's not.
What was the thing you said last week about authenticity? Where did you get that from?
It was a YouTube, my YouTube feed's all spiritual related, but it was a YouTube about, and it referenced David Hawking. I don't know if you ever heard of David Hawking, Letting Go, Power versus Force. So he has
I haven't read him, but I've heard him.
Yeah, so it's, we're energy beings, right? And we exude an energy force around us, a life force. And they say that authenticity, you have love, compassion, empathy, all these vibrations that we put off, right? We have fear, right? Which is a really dense, vibration.
Yeah.
But authenticity, to be 100% authentic with your own self, let alone authentic with other human beings, is one of the highest vibrations that we can put off. And if you think about it, it's like is that you're all right. There's a burrito place that's right down there. It's delicious. Yeah. Is that if I'm authentic in my nature, right? You see that. It's like you feel it, right? So that energy they're saying that energy that's being put off with authenticity is the highest form of vibration that we can put off. And if I can't fake that, you can't fake that, Olivia can't fake that. We can't fake authenticity. We just either are authentic and true to ourselves, or we go into this space of story of who we think we are based on what we went through. And through that we then, like a lot of religions saying, either you're in the world or you're of it. We become of the world when that story drives who we are. But authenticity allows you to be in the world and say, you know what? It no longer has control of me. It, doesn't. It.
You know how much I talk about it with people?
It's it.
It made me think of Stephen King's It.
Yeah.
Like, it is really a concept, and people always talk about it.
Yeah.
It's this ineffable. We talk about that word all the time.
Yeah.
Look at those, Livy.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is this thing that we're all trying to find a way through. And, we use this word healing. And people, I think about the word healing a lot, and that healing is not a stagnant thing that you arrive at.
No.
It is a practice. It's a state of being.
It's a state of being.
Yeah.
Right? It's the Joseph Campbell hero's journey.
Yeah.
Like, hero's journey is an act of healing. You're going through this process. And if you think, like, you go through it all and you get back to where you're beginning, it's like, well, no, you just begin again. There's parts of us, right, that there's parts of us that we draw in right? We draw in for us. For us. I'm not a victim to it anymore. And that I believe, right, going back to the question, is that's through authenticity. Because you have to be honest with yourself first. And I can fool myself the easiest. I can convince myself of anything, and we do. I can fool myself, like
I'm a bullshit artist in my own head.
Right? Yeah. But then my whole world outside of me is then not authentic.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, part of why I crave what you are talking about, that is what I want in my life. Like, for me, this is not coming as an outsider in saying, I want to help build something.
Yeah.
It's saying, I actually want to be part of this community.
Yeah.
And I need that. I crave that.
Yeah.
And for me, that healing process it's nothing to me if I'm not sharing it with other people that are in that space.
Yeah.
And it's interesting when you talk about authenticity. I've tried to simplify my thoughts for years,
Yeah.
refine them. I think of it like honing it.
Yeah.
So I think of the world in terms of open versus closed.
Right.
And I think of authenticity as openness.
That's right.
And to be open within oneself
Mm-hmm.
is to be honest within oneself, and
Mm-hmm.
to be open outside. And at some point, you don't make a distinction between the inside and the outside. It's just all arising in consciousness.
That's right. Because that's all we are is consciousness. That's all everything is consciousness.
Yes.
But to come to that realization that my inner world and my authenticity with myself is going to be my outer world.
Mm-hmm.
Spirituality, in a sense, right? You know, and I think it sounds like we're going to do this whole thing right here, but we're not. So, but spirituality, in a sense, before I give you this grand tour, this real thing is turning the mirror on yourself.
Yeah.
And realizing that none of your problems are outside of you.
Yeah.
It's all inner world. The saints and the wisdom keepers of this, like Jesus, Yeshua, he was saying it all along. Heaven isn't a place to go. It's a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
It's connecting with the fact that you are all of it, right? You know, and now me knowing that I'm not a small little object in the space, time, and a universe. I'm actually all of it that is actually participating, right, in a small lens.
Yeah. I think weaving together, look at this kid. That's
She's
awesome. Good job. Weaving together authenticity, openness, heaven and hell. I just think of it as a spiral staircase. You can spiral down, or you can spiral up. Yeah. And karmically, life will invite you to learn over and over. And I know I went in the same spiral over and over.
Me too.
Went up a little, went down a little, went up a little, went down further, went up a little. Given, I think of life as a teacher.
Yeah.
Like maybe all of it is a teacher.
It is all a teacher, yeah.
And we're given this amazing opportunity to revisit things over and over and over. Yeah. And to me, that's Joseph Campbell captured that mythologically in a way that I never could. Yeah. But my mind just sees it as a spiral. Yeah. You know?
I mean, that's why we think so much alike. Because I always tell guys, you can spiritually bypass all this and you can go right to the rooftop. But all the steps in between, all the things that you were supposed to learn are eventually, you either have to go through them or you die with them. Yeah. You know what? Let's do this.
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Do it.
I want to give you a tour.
Livy, will you follow us? Let's do that.
Yeah, so let me give you a tour. So this is the downstairs main meeting hall of VFW Post 5431. Again, it was dingy carpet, really outdated. Max Bush, really close friend of mine and someone that's been very much part of my healing journey. You know, again, found a purpose of serving.
And he was a fellow SEAL?
A fellow SEAL, yeah. Found a purpose in service to others, Vietnam veterans that were really running this place. So he stepped in, made a lot of changes. We have this, right, and everything that is in the furniture and all of it due to what he was able to do. Yeah. We have... we conduct meetings in here monthly for the bylaws, which are great. And then here's our little kitchen area. We can cook some meals. We're gonna potentially put a coffee shop here.
I think that's so great.
Yeah.
From the coming together point of view, of that this is already here to create.
Yeah, it was meant to be. And he created the window, the roll-up window. So his mindset is everything that I'm talking about. He's the one that originally said, "Hey, this needs to be a wellness center." Like he didn't say it in those words, but that's where he was going, right? You know, if he, so we were very much in line, right? So I'm just taking that ball and running it down the football field a little bit further. Yep. So down here we can use this space potentially for, again, our meetings. You know, when I do the remodel, we're going to bring the indoor, outdoor, roll up doors. Maybe, like I said, a fire pit, a memorial for the fallen veterans, as well as a outdoor barbecue.
And more practically speaking, will that be through Next Peak?
I'm
integration of VFW?
We're going to integrate the two of them. I want to fuse both Next Peak and the VFW. Next Peak will run the wellness.
I'm just thinking if people watch this and they want to support this, where would they funnel their support?
Nextpeak.org.
Okay.
We have a website. They can definitely donate right on the website.
Okay, so
there.
nextpeak.org.
And we'll put something on the
we'll
a
put
link
right
on there. Yeah. So
Okay.
so that's the downstairs.
Next already is this a plan already?
Yeah, you can take a look at that.
That is so cool,
architect. Kind of hard to see it, but you know this would be a patio door that would allow for more space upstairs. This would be an indoor-outdoor space here. Turn this into a full memorial of sorts for flags and stuff, and then coffee shop, and then again, you know, the idea is to bring that indoor-outdoor space together as one.
What's amazing is this is a space that any hedge fund would scoop up in a second.
I know,
because it's prime real
well,
estate.
And really the problem is if we don't make changes, and this conversation I've had with the Vietnam guys is that if we don't change now, we have, you know, then we're going to lose this building.
Yeah.
Right. And then our chapter goes away. So that's where myself and the younger generation are coming in to say, hey, let us take care of you now.
Yeah.
Right? You guys you've brought the ball this far.
Yep.
Now we're here to take it to the next level.
You know, just to speak to anyone that may listen to this who is not a veteran.
Yeah.
So many people in the civilian community are intimidated to speak to someone like you. If they hear SEAL, they get intimidated.
Yeah.
I want people to know in the civilian community, I'm a civilian. And outside of the military, I just see myself as another person that's carrying the ball. Maybe I'm in a support role. Maybe I'm on the sidelines. Whatever the metaphor is, we all, I believe, are completely and totally in this together.
Yeah.
And we are all leading into this mindset of this community of practice. So there's no distinction at this point.
No, that SEAL old story.
Yeah.
We're all here for service.
Yes.
You are providing, your servant leadership is healing us, right? And as well as like that's that connection, that's that community, right? You know, and just because you didn't serve overseas doesn't mean you can't serve, right? You know, in a capacity for helping people raise their awareness, right, and consciousness and all this. That's how we're gonna heal the planet, in my opinion. Is we got to fix ourselves. So,
Livy, is it still red on top? Okay.
All right, so this is the upstairs. This is where I kind of took over and started remodeling this, right? You know, and I put a new floor in. It was like a dingy carpet that was really, really tough to get up because it was glued down 5 times. I was convinced. So
this is great.
This is our conference area again. The goal is that this becomes a indoor-outdoor space, right? Maybe even a garage door here.
Opens right up.
It opens right up. We can hold meetings here. You know, we can do podcasts here. There's a lot that we can do with this. Obviously, we have a TV that we can bring in video. A waiting area for clients.
Yeah.
Because this essentially, what we can do up here, the back room, we have a bathroom. Each room has a bathroom, so we have a half bath.
Nice. Good job.
Yeah, you're doing awesome. And then we have in here what I'd like to call the multi-purpose room. Really echoey right now. But the multi-purpose room would be, you know, we could do podcasts out of here. We can set up green screen. We can put the chairs, you know. I think
there's plenty of room, actually.
Yeah, and we can set it up so we have 3 of us, right? You know, and camera angles and stuff like that. The other side of what we can do in here is a psychiatrist, Dr. Paul Sargent. You know Sargent?
Yeah.
He came here the other night, so he's interested in the canvas of what we have.
I love how.
I know, it's crazy.
Him and I have talked for several years.
Yeah.
And we've talked several times over the past few months.
His name kept on coming up, right? And I told again, if your name comes up 3 times and you're not, then we need to. There's something that we should be doing together.
Yeah.
So I even offered him a position as a board member for next week. So
that's so cool.
He's like, yeah, and right, you know, I'd say again, those things like I knew him right away. So you know, I am open, right? You know, like as this is even being recorded, I am open. This is a canvas. Like, what can we do with this room? Can we do ketamine sessions for guys because it's FDA approved? Can we do fascia release? We have a guy named Brendan. He's a healer when it comes to fascia release and pulling out toxins out of the body.
And I want anybody that may listen to this to know we're talking about needs. We're talking about a room full of podcasting equipment. We're talking about a space where we can do FDA-approved ketamine treatment, a space where we can do more traditional therapy that will also support plant medicine treatments.
Yeah.
Like you've talked about bringing SEAL team guys south of the border.
Yeah.
We happen to be in San Diego where we can interface with treatment centers that are outside of this country that are offering things that hopefully one day will be available here. I love your vision here, man.
Yeah, no, it's a canvas, and you know, just for Next Peak, and to be clear, is like we aren't a psychedelic organization. We are very much like there's entities that provide that type of medicine. It's overseas and you know, obviously above board. What we do is our goal is to support both the preparation and the integration of that experience.
Yes.
Because it takes years to rewire this away from fear and back into love, who you really are.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen overnight. And again, part of the problem is that we in a society want the easy button. I push the button and I'm healed. I go to the 100th floor and it's divine. But you just didn't go through the spiral.
And I love the organic, because outside, when we decided to come inside, my thought about psychedelic treatment was a certain vision was revealed to me several years ago. That was that this is where you can be.
Yep.
And a lot of times when you do those medicines, it reveals to you what is possible.
Right.
But then you come out of it and you're right back on the ground again. And then I spent several years moving in the direction of what was shown to me.
Yeah.
But I had to go through that grueling work of, I'm not going to do that, and I don't want to do that. Right. My body doesn't want to do it. My mind doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
So,
and it's not. There is no easy button. You have to go through it. No matter what, you got to go through it. So
absolutely no.
I'll show the last space. I'll show you. We'll go downstairs and
that's what's been sold and told to us for so long.
That's right. Well, that's what corporate America and the government,
it's an easy thing
religion, and everything. So this is kind of our second little space here that's already kind of done. I'm going to show off my custom built cabinet, right? Yeah. That's what I did growing up. So I floated it, incorporated a little drink refrigerator for clients, you know, if they want a water, coffee maker, microwave for the clinicians as they're here to use the space as well. And then we have, as my beautiful friend Lisa Majunga said, we need to soften this space. We need to put more pictures and bookshelves, which she's absolutely right. So if Lisa watches this,
I'll donate some art.
Yeah, and I have that piece of art we're going to put in here as well or somewhere. But this is where we conduct our therapy.
This is great, guy.
Yeah, so this is a nice, you know, the goal in the remodel is to put a door here, a regular door, and you have a private space outside that you can also do therapy when it's got nice weather. So you're not limited to in here, right? There's probably a little bit car noise and all that, but it doesn't. That all disappears when you're.
It's amazing in my space how tolerant people are. Actually, I'm working with all these veterans, and I'm in a jiu-jitsu gym, and there's cars going by outside, and no one makes a big deal about it. It just it becomes part of the work.
You should lose yourself in it.
Yes,
it should do.
In fact, we meditate. We just start with it, like just listen to the traffic noise. It grounds us here. Yeah. I love your vision, and what I would hope is to be able to share a needs list with this. I think we could have a very tangible sort of ask, and
so Next Peak's gonna take charge of the remodel, right? And you know, obviously we're gonna broker the money for the VFW to do this. And obviously we have a relationship between this VFW and Next Peak.
Okay.
And then the future would be like, well, okay, how can we extend that out to other VFWs in the region? And then because now we have a slide deck and like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is happening. This is the community that we have now. Is like, how can we do that other places? And
we are
now,
so on the same page. It's unbelievable.
You're good. All right. Well, thanks for letting me give you a tour of the place, and kind of. I mean, we've had some big, long talks about the community of practice, and I know that this model is. There's so much potentiality when it comes to having a community practice with FOBs, so to speak, forward operating bases, all around the United States. And I'm not trying to convince VFWs that our canteens that are drinking halls, this, that, and the other to necessarily change. But maybe just maybe, right? As those start phasing out, or if they start, dying away, is that we can come in and leverage this model elsewhere. And if a VFW in, say, San Diego says, we're like, hey, we're not getting rid of our bar. Hey, well, we can create another building.
Sure.
That's a VFW, maybe the same post number, TAC 2. I don't know how it would work, but there's things that we can do that allow us to grow this, right?
Stepping back for a moment, we're talking about many years of experience that have led us to have this conversation.
Yeah. And
what you're talking about is a vision that has really required all of that experience to come together. And you and I already have spent a lot of time talking and sharing and exploring and really brainstorming. And all of this comes together as we see a very fractured community of service in our country. Yeah. And we watch veterans, for example, spend months waiting in line for one service, when really what I think everyone desires is to go to one place and to be able to just partake in whatever service they need at that particular moment, and to be able to be, like we've talked about, to be part of that community of practice.
Right
perpetually.
I think when I think about my own story, and we all go through our own unique stories, leaving the SEAL teams and going out into being thrusted into a civilian world, which I did 24 years in that community. And when I left that, I was like a piece of me, right? Because I identified so much with that, like, oh, I'm a SEAL or whatever, right? And I didn't really tell people, but that was my identity. That was my purpose. That was my.
Well, that's how you practice being.
Right. That was how I practiced being. And so now you get kind of detached from that. Guys are then going off and doing their deployments, doing this, doing that, and you lose track of them. And the next thing you know, your sense of being goes away.
Yeah.
And now you're alone. And what I'm offering, I think what we need to really offer, and the VA is doing as best as they can with the tools they have, right?
Sure.
But there is no that I'm aware of, no real big community that they're developing. And I see this as an opportunity to leverage that community of practice.
You can do that.
Yeah.
Here. You know what the producer's got to do? What the producer's
this is yeah.
Can you be very careful out there? Make sure you don't go behind it into that street. There's a lot of Christmas tourists out here.
That's right. We get a little crazy during Christmas.
Yeah. We're standing behind the.
You can leave it open, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
To speak to that, so my label is a clinical psychologist, and I've spent a lot of time in residential treatment, university treatment, veterans treatment in a private practice setting, and looking at how our world talks about treatment and healing.
Yeah. What's
utterly profound to me is the amount of work that we put into reducing symptoms, treating the labels of PTSD, depression, anxiety. So we treat a collection of symptoms, and that serves a certain way of thinking. And inevitably, none of it tends to lead in the direction of, okay, now that we've treated our symptoms and we're sitting alone at our couch at home,
right,
now what do I do? And that is the thing that I notice everyone sits around thinking about.
I'm going to take it a step further.
Yeah.
We think we're treating, but we're passing down medicines, and like, hey, you're anxious, like, here's a pill for that. Oh, you're depressed?
Yeah.
You're depressed? Like, that's my label? Oh, yeah, you are depressed. Here's your pill. Like, we give ourselves, through a story, we give ourselves all these labels.
Yeah.
Right? And then the problem, and this is maybe getting off topic, maybe not, but the problem is that we go through a process of transition we go through the VA, and when you go through that process of the VA, it's like you don't go in that room with, hey, I'm having the best day of my life. You go in with the symptoms that you have, right? And it's not say, because yesterday I was depressed and this, that, and all these things that I thought I was, right? And then like it's like this cyclical thing, and like the next day I feel good. Well, you're talking about your depression, right? But the bigger problem is that now you are given a financial compensation for that very thing that you believe you are.
Yeah.
Which then makes it manifests it even more so.
Right.
And then, okay, well, you're this, 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 and this, and this, and here's all your stuff. And then here's a bucket full or a tub full of pills that you can take to treat you.
Yeah.
We're treating you.
Yeah.
But no one's getting any treatment out of that.
Yeah.
A treatment is something that allows you to heal. Mm-hmm. But we're prolonging. We're putting Band-Aids on a hemorrhage that, like, you're bleeding out. Yeah. I was bleeding out. I had all my meds, but I was still bleeding out, and I still wanted to take my own life in it.
A simple way that I condense that almost every day is, of course, if we were sitting with a neurobiologist or something like that, they might say depression is a neurological thing or a biological thing or a chemical thing or whatever. All that aside, I simply tell people we have been trained and taught in our culture that anxiety and depression, for example, are sicknesses and disorders, that if you're depressed or anxious, something is wrong with you, as opposed to anxiety and depression are your brain and body's best attempt to protect you and keep you safe.
Bingo.
In the context of your perception that the world is a dangerous place and that you're fucking exhausted in that world.
Yeah.
And then we have a pill that says we can make these symptoms of your body trying to protect yourself go away.
Right. And
then you're left with everything that's underneath it that's actually promoting those symptoms.
That's right. So
and it's not being treated.
So the root cause, like, why are you depressed?
She made it back safe.
She did. That's good.
I was my attention was split.
It was touch and go. We were worried.
Part of my attention was out there. Part of it was in here.
As a father, it should be.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're, what we're doing is we're putting that Band-Aid, and I say, like, hey, these are tools. Just like a psychedelic or a plant medicine is a tool, so is a tool of that calms you down. Mm-hmm. But it's not the fix. Yeah. The fix is going back and understanding, well, why am I anxious? Mm-hmm. Why do I behave like this? Why are these adaptive behaviors that I have in my life creating this so-called anxiousness? Mm-hmm. Right? And you said it perfectly. Mm-hmm. It's because it's an adaptive behavior based in fear. Mm-hmm. When I was 6 years old, right, and things that, I think we talked about this in the last podcast, where, we think of our parents as gods, and yet something happens, right, where that God betrays me. Yeah. So now I'm betrayed. Now, well, it can't be my God. Yeah. It can't be. Who is going to be then? Yeah. It's going to be me. Yeah. I become defective. I'm the defective one here.
And something must be wrong with me because I can't stand the idea that something might be wrong with my environment, my family, my parents, that's right. My God.
We talked about earlier, inner world, outer world. Mm-hmm. If I'm defective, if that's my title, then guess what? How am I supposed to, I'm a victim now to everything around me. Yeah.
Once upon a time when we were 3, 4, 5 years old, or even in the crib, we all were born these wild little creatures with natural sensations and natural emotions, and we start to adapt ourselves to that environment very early on. And we start to learn that certain emotional expressions are dangerous, certain emotional expressions are acceptable, and we tend to live in a cultural context that teaches us how to suppress and deny and avoid our emotional expressions.
Feelings.
And even like an interesting aside is that, we have all these facial muscles, and these facial muscles are wired into our emotional brain, our limbic system. Yeah. And tribally, we're supposed to be able to look at each other and read what we're feeling so we can help each other.
That's right.
But we've been taught how to hide it, especially in the military. Yeah. What are you taught?
Stoic.
Be
quite
stoic,
professional.
Be hard, Yeah. And So we're taught from such an early age that most of our emotional experience is a sickness and a disorder and a flaw.
That's right.
And any time a lot of my clients feel the sensation of anxiety or of depression or PTS or whatever, immediately their story is something is wrong with me. It's always been wrong with me. My God's told me it was wrong with me. My teachers told me it was wrong with me. My coaches said.
Right.
And therefore I'm sick and I am helpless within my own body.
That's right.
As opposed to my body has been trying to protect me this whole time.
See, this is why this riff is going to be so good, because I put it in a very simple, but you broke it down so eloquently, right? That helplessness, that defectiveness, right? That was put upon me. No. It wasn't put upon you. I put it upon myself. I am the one that anchored myself, right, into the floor and said, oh my gosh, this is a dangerous world. And all I got to do now is survive. And I'm here to tell you, and I'll say it over and over again, we are not here to survive. We're here to thrive. But if you look at our society, all we're doing is surviving. And it's energy, right? We're wasting energy surviving all these fears that we've produced in our own inner world, right? To survive it. And it's all an illusion. The illusion is there is no fear outside of you.
You know, I think about this every day as a single father, let's just say as a citizen who has to pay bills and owes the IRS money, like normal stuff, right? That presumably I am wired to pay attention to lions and tigers and bears and stuff that's dangerous. But in our world, I have learned that lions and tigers and bears are my mortgage.
That's right.
My image, my social media feed, my bills, whatever.
My shame.
So I have this entire story in which I am supposed to survive all of these elements that I've been told if I survive them, I am successful.
That's right.
And I am good enough.
Yeah. And again, that's the society we live in. I mean, in the corporations, the government, you know, the religion, like all those three big powerhouses, right? You know, like if you gain your inner sovereignty and your own powerness and you finally wake up from the illusion of fear, right? Because if you look at Christianity, I'm not saying anything bad about it, but there's such a large amount of fear that's based in it, in a sense, right? You know, well, if you don't believe in Christ as your Savior, then you're going to go to hell. Okay, you know, I'm not saying you're wrong or right or indifferent, but that is in itself fear.
I've tended to, anytime I listen to the news, I listen to how people tell their stories. I listen to how the news tells a story. I listen to how preachers tell their story. And anytime I hear someone trying to sell me something from a place of fear, I don't believe it's of God. I don't believe God, if God is what God has been portrayed as, is actually driven by fear.
Fear is because I'm helpless, because I'm defective, because I put myself there. I'm almost gravitating towards like we as beings, right? You know, because when we're stuck there, all we see is fear, because inner world, outer world, right? And then what's happening is it's all, in my opinion, it's all about control. Government, religion, corporations, right? You know, corporations want your money. Right. You know, there's a bit of that with religion too, of getting more people within the community. Right. And again, I'm not bashing religion. I think it can be a great, beautiful community, right? You know, where people can heal for sure. And
well, it's what people manifest.
It's right. That's right. You know, so, and then government is all about, you know, control and this, that, and the other. So, you know, all of it, you know, all those entities have a play in this. But again, if I wake up to it, and now through awareness and through presence and the art of meditation, of like centering myself and realizing, wait a minute, that fear I have isn't legitimate. I'm creating it. I'm making this something that it's not, right? You know, it's my fault. It's no one else's fault, right? It's not the government or the religion. It's not their fault. I'm the one that's creating it. Because at some point in my life, and it goes back to what we were talking about, the root cause, You want to treat someone, we need to go back to the root cause. And it's not even only our story. This is a multi-generational problem. I know we talked about this Sunday. It's so important. This isn't just the crap that you went through. Mm-hmm. It's what your dad and your mom, their dad and their mom, and it goes back
400 grandfathers ago.
Right. I say it goes all the way back to the fact that when you were a single cell amoeba to this now, like there's this trauma, right? The survival mechanism, right? The animal part of who we are. Mm-hmm. But we're being that we have consciousness, but it's a higher form of consciousness. It is a true awareness, right?
It's what you said last week. It's where you can describe it. Where is that choice?
That's
what
right.
space is that choice take place in?
Yeah.
And it's between our physicality, our natural desire to survive, our physiological drive to survive versus our behavior, and being able to step back with that higher consciousness and observe the impulses of ourself and how that has been programmed in a sense by our experience in a certain societal context or a certain life story, and being able to pause and say, wait a second, do I want to be driven by this fear? Do I want to listen to the story they're telling me? Yeah. Do I want to blame the other for my problem and hurt them because I'm sad and hurting?
That's right.
Or do I want to take a breath and decide if I want to do this differently? And that is where true freedom is.
Right, and that's being that conscious actor. The unconscious actor being of it, right? And when I'm of it, I'm now unconsciously reacting to it. It has control of me, right? Mm-hmm. The whole point of this sovereignty, this power, this inner knowing, a knowledge of who you really are, is that you you flip the script all the way.
Yeah.
It's not, it no longer has control of me. I get to dance with it. I'm in it. Mm-hmm. I'm in it. I'm participating in it. Yeah. I'm consciously, right, becoming an actor in it.
Yeah.
And now I have my power, right? My inner power. Mm-hmm. And this isn't a power of like, hey, I get to control and dominate you, because that's what I did all my life, right? I would transaction with other human beings because I was empty inside.
Yeah.
When you finally get to this point, and I'm not saying I'm complete by any means, I'm still going up my spiral, right? And parts of me are still healing to this day, right? Yeah. But I'm aware, right? Way more aware of those parts that still need to heal. Mm-hmm. And so in order for me to get higher, I need to go through that part of me that isn't healed. Mm-hmm. And you can't bypass it. And now, but it goes back to the root cause. Getting complete. Save a Warrior. Beautiful 3-day experience where they set a container, right, that allows you the safety to go through an initiation process to get complete with that, with the source of that trauma. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I mentioned it last time, right? The goal for me and my quest is to finally break that chain of dysfunction amongst my lineage of people.
Yeah.
Right? The people that were there, like that got me to this place right now, right? And moving forward, right? Because and it takes a lot of courage to stand up against what we think as a society is right.
People think a lot about how to change the world. And I have to close my eyes to capture what I'm thinking about here. Thinking about generational trauma and thinking about how much we want to blame someone for our state of being. We want to blame someone for our injury. There's always that other back to that, right? And there's a lot of blaming mothers and fathers and blaming corporations and blaming religions and blaming governments, right? As opposed to be able to step back and have a sense of absolute compassion for the fact that we've all been acting out this generational story forever.
Yes.
And that we all take our role in that story. Yeah. And sometimes we do take on the role of the villain or the victor or the healer or the hurter, and that it's not about finding some other to blame for your story.
That's right.
It's actually, I suppose that's what we call forgiveness. That starts within us.
What's that? Have you read the book Radical Forgiveness?
No.
That there's nothing to forgive at all? And think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I agree with you. Like, there's these things that before I was a victim to, and I wanted an apology. Like, you need to apologize to me. Yeah. You need to apologize. You hurt my feelings.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Well, so bring it home to a simple place, because I don't know. Bring it home.
Yeah, I mean, we really got on this about treatment, right? And now it's like, okay, let's go back, let realize that true treatment is not spiritually bypassing all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And what we were saying is, like, everything, instead of being a victim to everything that is placed in front of you, realize that you are the one that's calling it into being. And you are the one that has to go through it, and it's all there for you. It's not happening to you. It's really there for you. And to have that mindset. I mean, I'm literally flipping the script on all of it.
Mm-hmm.
But the root cause, right, is you got to go back to why you're stuck in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's also a component of, are you done suffering? Let's even back it up further. Do you even realize you're suffering?
Mm-hmm.
And I always ask, the first thing I'll ask of a guy that I work with, we live in the freest country in the world, but are you free?
Mm-hmm.
Are you really free? Because when you're of it, right, when someone cuts you off on the freeway and you unconsciously react, flip them off, do whatever, like get pissed off, hit the steering wheel, are you free?
Yeah.
Or does it have control of you?
Yeah.
And if you want your freedom in this, you have to go back to the root cause, because you are behaving, the maladaptive behaviors that you are doing, the parts that you're playing also for other people, going back to radical forgiveness, is for them as well, right? So there's this weird dance, like, of energy that's happening, right? But my problems aren't outside of me.
Yeah.
It's the inner world.
We're creating this thing constantly
through consciousness.
We are co-creating it all the time, and we go from programmed response, acting it out, programmed response, acting it out. We're acting it out perpetually without pausing and saying, how do I want to respond in this present moment? And what's interesting is all the treatment we talk about comes down to that. How am I going to respond in this present moment to every single mythology, everything single story, every single sensation, every single automatic thing in my body that wants to lash out and hurt the other that is hurting me in this moment, rather than saying, okay, I can feel my anger. I can feel the sensation of anger. I can feel the sensation of sadness. I can feel the sensation of fear, what my daughter and I were talking about on the way here. But I can choose to behave differently. And that is inevitably going to be a creation.
That's right.
That's the place we create from.
And what are you changing? You're changing the inner world. If you want to close it up, like every time you do that, you're changing the inner world a little bit more. Because this wiring, right, this biocomputer that we have, is this miraculous thing that we have, right, can be rewired away from that fear. It's a creation machine. Yeah. We are nothing but pure consciousness, and I won't go down the quantum physics route of this.
We could go down that.
That could be a whole nother podcast. But we are pure consciousness.
Yeah.
Having an experience.
Yeah.
With the self.
And a simple thing I want to say is, so I think a lot about the guys that are sitting on their couch right now that don't even feel like they have the energy to stand up and go seek out some sort of help.
Yeah.
I want someone to feel like they can walk through that door, literally, and they can be met where they are.
That's right.
By someone in this space.
Yeah.
And then to recreate that, so that's just a very tangible thing we've talked about is it's awesome to create some sort of perfect treatment plan that people can participate in.
Yeah.
But if they can't get off the couch 5 miles from here and find a way to walk in this door and actually have someone meet them where they're at, it's not going to happen for most people.
No.
And so you have to create that locally
Yeah.
in these pods, as
Yeah.
we've been talking about,
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to provide that in every city across the country.
That's right.
Because if I have to drive 100 miles and I can barely get up to drink a glass of water
Yeah.
because I am so depressed,
Yeah.
it's not going to happen.
You're right. Yeah. And this, there are amazing nonprofits that are doing amazing work.
Mm-hmm.
I can list out 10 just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to pair with those nonprofits. I don't need to recreate the wheel.
Yes.
I don't need, it's like, no.
Yeah.
Like, but you land here, and from day one, we meet you where you are, because you're a human being.
Mm-hmm.
You're perfectly imperfect.
Yes.
Me too.
Yeah.
Right? We meet you where you are, and we listen to you with honest, with openness.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not here. You will never be judged when you come into this space. This
Mm-hmm.
is safe.
Absolutely.
This is sacred.
Yeah.
Right? This isn't. You're not going to find this anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And you become family. Like, we're not family by blood. We've met each other 3 or 4 times, but I feel like I've known you for thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
We're family.
Yeah.
By choice.
Yeah.
Right? And I know where you are on your healing journey. Our vibration's similar. That's why we can have these conversations.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's how I told Olivia, my daughter, when it came. I said, he has the same energy that I do.
Yeah.
The same spirit. And it's all good, right, babe? Mm-hmm. All right.
Well,
you're in charge. Tell us, should we wrap it up?
Cut. Oh, sweet. You did it.
Nice.